I'm all about the duet. Oh, they're beginner trading right there.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, John? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. How are you?
All right, I'm doing good. My name is also John. I go by Johnny, but everybody here calls me Westside. Westside on the mic.
Nice. I'm gonna call you Westside. My name is John as well, and so just to I'm gonna
Right
make
on.
it easy. Call you Westside. Yeah. Good name, bro.
H2O said she's already subbed. Cool.
Nice. Hey, happy to have you there, H2O. But yeah, man. I've seen your channel before. I can't lie. I've kind of popped in here before. Checking y'all out. I think y'all've got a great thing going on. I think the idea is great over here with a 24-hour, channel. A lot of the times, there's not many crypto, channels that get into the 24-hour space. So I think it's a great idea. And yeah, man, great channel here as well.
It definitely, it's ambitious.
It is for sure, man. Internet fees have got to be super high. I'm assuming, man. I know mine are just.
I could only imagine. It definitely was ambitious when we first started doing the 24-hour thing, but we just started getting so much audience during the GameStop and AMC squeeze, and we would see these numbers. It's just like, man, there's 1,500 people in the chat right now. Like, I can't leave them.
Right,
so.
Sure.
We would just stay on as long as we can, and then somebody else would take over. In the very beginning, we were doing basically like 4 people would do 4 shifts a day and just do a quarter day. And I mean, you could imagine we got a little tired.
Yeah, for sure. But it's a great idea. It's the new age radio station for stock market.
Exactly, and especially since stock and crypto doesn't really sleep. With the pre-market, the market, the after hours, and then crypto. There's something to talk about 24/7.
Right.
So yes, this is John from Beginner Trades channel.
Let me see if I can turn up my volume. Tell me if that's better. Let me know if that's better. I'm turning up my volume a little bit, but I don't know if.
I hear you great. Oh, maybe some people said you might be low. I don't know. Just maybe get on the mic. You sound great to me.
Okay. Let me see if it's something to do with Discord. But yeah, man, crypto. I've just been recently getting into the crypto space. I've been doing copy trading on this platform that I use, and it's super fun, man. I don't know a ton about I've traded and invested in crypto for about the last year and a half or so, but I'm mostly a stock trader, and so I don't know everything about crypto. I know the basics, like what blockchain is, and they're all based off of algorithms, and I'm holding some crypto for a while, but yeah, man, I've recently started learning more about crypto, and it's super fun. It's open nonstop too, which is great,
Right.
and especially for the traders that miss trading on the weekend. Like, I know I used to just miss trading, because you got to be passionate about it. But you could trade crypto on the weekend, and so
Right.
that's one of the big pros of it.
Saturdays growing up, I used to love Saturdays. They were mythological to me. And nowadays Saturday is the one day that I can't do anything. At least Sunday, I have market on Monday, so I'm doing some research. But Saturday, I'm just sitting there like, what did I used to do with my Saturdays?
Right, for sure. Saturdays, I'm a little torn.
The crypto thing you were talking about, that you said group trading or something like that?
So I'm doing copy trading, and
Copy
they have
trading.
copy trading all around. Yeah, I'm doing copy trading, so it's basically kind of like a new age hedge fund. I have the sponsor of mine, and so I'm not going to mention their names, so it doesn't sound like I'm shilling for them. But the sponsor of mine has copy trading, and basically what you do is you go around and you look at the most profitable traders, and it gives you their stats that are pulled directly from the platform, and you can basically pick how much you want to invest in each trader, and they get 10% of your profit. So basically, if they're trading $1,000 account, I can go up to them and say, hey, look, I'm going to give you $100 to trade. And so if he makes 10%, makes $100 on that $1,000 account, I make $10 on my $100 investment into him. And so it's kind of like this new age thing where, in my opinion, the best way to do it is you just diversify into a bunch of different ones to keep your risk low, and you just pick out the most profitable traders. There's a lot of traders that have really good accuracy rates, so if you diversify enough, it's been fun. It's made me a ton of money, to be honest, and it's probably made me 70% in the last week. And again, I can't say if that's going to sustain. Never really done it before, just kind of experimenting with it, but it's been fun so far. But that's kind of what I've been messing with lately.
Okay. Is it I mean, I don't think there's a problem with you saying what app it is. What app do you use?
I use BitGet. which is a Singapore-based crypto. Yeah,
Okay.
and I tested them out, and like I've withdrawn money and sent money to them, and everything works fine.
Okay.
It's really a platform for futures trading. So you can trade crypto futures, and so you can short cryptocurrencies. And there's some scummy cryptos that are going to go down, and betting that they're going to go down is a pretty safe bet sometimes. And so I think that's why those type of platforms got big in the first place.
I heard you guys talking about the copy trading, and I was immediately like, this sounds cool. I like these new ideas. Because I mean, like you said, crypto, you barely been learning crypto. I mean, for me, crypto's been around for like what, 3 weeks now? Like, it's just like so new. Anything that comes out is just it's all so new. So the copy trading thing, it's like why not jump on it now? This thing could be the next big thing we don't know.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really interested in the eToro. That's what brought me over to eToro. I thought they had I thought they had stocks also, and because the commercial that Alec Baldwin had, he was saying like, oh, you could follow your favorite people, and I was like, this is a great idea, like a human ETF fund almost,
Right. Hedge fund, little cheap, hedge fund that shows you the results, that's the endearing part about it, and that's why crypto's better in some ways, just because there's less red tape. You don't have to. Like, I've been a member of BitGet for like a week now, and I haven't even given them my ID. I don't need to give them my ID. I don't need to verify it. I can just transfer crypto in, transfer crypto out. And that's the beautiful part about cryptocurrencies in the first place, is that, there's no red tape. You don't. If I had to transfer money from TD Ameritrade to somewhere else, it would take a long time with
ACH transfer, 3 to 5 business days.
For sure. With crypto, it's in there in 5 minutes. It's literally, you can see it move from platform to platform in 5 minutes, and that's why crypto has gotten as big as it is, and that's why blockchain is so valuable.
Yeah, Bulldog is very much into that. He's like he says right here, he's back to the crypto's roots. He does not like, having all, your thumbprint and a hair sample and your address and your firstborn and your social security. They're like, come on, man, that's not that's not the heart and soul of what crypto is all about.
Right, the banks haven't got a hold of it yet. You know them; they're nickel and diming us everywhere. But that's why crypto's great, is because it's not. There's less red tape. That's the easiest way I can put it.
Right, and it's open all day, and it's open on the weekends. But you guys on your channel, you guys are do a lot of scalping.
Yeah, so I do a little bit of everything, right? So at the opening bell, I've got like 3 different platforms up. I've got Webull because, excuse me, lately I've been kind of scalping some options. But I'm mostly a day trader, so like I scalp very short-term momentum from all different types of stocks. So I'll attack penny stocks. My favorite stocks to really do it on, though, are like AMD, MU. I'll short and go long on a really short-term basis. Just scalping quick momentum trades. I might hold a position for 30 seconds and then in and out. So very quick short-term trades. I trade a 30,000 plus account and just kind of, I don't have to worry about running out of equity, and I can just zero commissions on TD Ameritrade, which is where I trade. And so I can just take $5, $7 here, $8 here, and just rinse and repeat and do that 20, 30 times a day, hopefully. Usually not that much, but yeah, just kind of rinse and repeat scalping momentum. The basic way you have to think about it is that if you can pick the next 5 cents in direction, then you can profit from scalping,
Yeah.
And so you just kind of look for really obvious breakdowns. Mostly I'm targeting like big sentiment changes using the VWAP, which is the volume weighted average price. And so I just look for a stock to go up really big and then reverse quickly on the downside, breaking the low of the day, breaking underneath the VWAP, and then I'll short into little pops after that. Or, I look for a stock to drop at the opening bell in that first 5 minutes and then reverse and do what's called a red to green move, and then buy a little pullback after that. And so little momentum trades like that are usually what grows my account. But at the same time, I'm not an expert. We don't sell a course or anything like that. And I don't even claim to be a good trader, because that's a lot of pressure on YouTube, to be honest. There's a lot of people, you know how it is. Like if you're out there claiming to be an expert or anything like that, anytime you do anything wrong, it's just going to be pressure and criticism.
Right.
So I'd rather just be like, hey, maybe I suck, and I'm sure some in my chat would agree. And, we could just kind of have fun and BS. We talk a lot about food as well there. I heard you say y'all talk about food. We talk about pineapples on pizza, whether that is natural and right or not,
Oh,
You have fun with it.
I got converted recently. I was anti pineapple on pizza, and then one day, I don't know. Like I said, they ingrained it into my head so much that now I actually tried it and I liked it. So I don't know. I guess I swing both ways on the pineapple on pizza
Right.
thing. So how do you? So when you're looking for these changes in the market, how do you find your pivot points? Is it just like straight market analysis, or are you just using every tool at your disposal?
So it's a mix of different things. I'm posting the link to my in my Discord now, so some of my people will show up here as well. So let me see if I can. Yeah, I'll post that now. But yeah, so usually I'm using the VWAP, right? And the VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. It sounds like it's VWAP, but most people pronounce it VWAP. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a short-term trend indicator is what it is. And really what it does is it shows you the sentiment. So if a stock is maintaining really well above it, then it's maintaining an upward trend short-term, intraday. If a stock is maintaining below it and, every time it bounces back to it, it rejects there, then the VWAP is basically saying, hey, look, this is in a downward trend. So one of the ways you can judge sentiment and changes in that sentiment is just waiting for a stock to break over that level, break over the VWAP level, and then hold, and that would signify, it changing to an upward trend or an upward, a more bullish sentiment. Or my favorite way to approach it really is when a stock slams down underneath it and then rejects there. And a good example of that today is like Alibaba. If you look at Alibaba today, for those at home, and you look at, right around 10:20 market time, it completely broke underneath the VWAP level, and that sentiment completely changed. And so shorting into little bounces after, sorry, ESPN app is loud. Shorting into those little pops after the sentiment change under the VWAP is super profitable. It's my favorite strategy in the world, just attacking that momentum.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
So is there how do you determine what you're going to throw into a stock versus, I guess, like cost versus share count? If it's under $5 a share, is there a certain share count that you go for? Or are you just investing a block of money, like $2,000, or are you looking to buy 1,000 shares?
No, so usually I'm going by risk and reward, and I'm using the range of the stock to determine what that risk and reward is. And so, for instance, like one of the first things I always did wrong when I was starting to trade is I didn't analyze the range of the stock enough. Because, for instance, a $10 stock can have a larger range intraday than a $100 stock. A $10 stock can move more than a $100 stock. And so if you have like a universal share size, you're going to get yourself in trouble sometimes just because the range can be different. And so I'll analyze the range usually, and then I'll establish a risk level. And then I'll just exit. I'll set a stop and get out if it breaks that risk level. But most of the time you're just using a range and looking at risk. So if I get in at 350 and my stop loss is at 340, then my risk is 10 cents. And if I have 10 cents of risk and I don't want to lose over, over $100, then I'll take 1,000 shares or less, and that's kind of what I'll do to kind of adjust what kind of sizing I'm taking. A lot of times, really, I'm trading very small. I might buy 25, 50, 100 shares, depending on the stock. If it's a penny stock, I might buy, 300, 400 shares and just take small little gains over and over again. So $20, $30 gain here, $10, $15 gain here, and just let it add up on the day. And we're breaking even about risk reward. So, we're risking about 10 cents and our reward targets are usually around 10 cents, and we're profiting from the favorable accuracy that I have. So, we're just kind of analyzing the risk reward.
And if you say you're looking at just getting, 10 to 15 cents out of something, do you hold on past that at all? Or are you just in and out and you just walk away and you don't worry about it going, higher and higher? Because my problem is the greed,
Yeah. Well, as a scalper, I don't mind entering the same position a bunch. Like, I really don't. So, like, if I get stopped out of a position and then it looks better 2 minutes later, I'll jump right back in it. I don't have an issue with jumping back in it because, if you cancel out that stock for the rest of the day, then you might miss out on some moves. And so for me as a scalper, it's just kind of letting favorable probabilities and just accumulating trades to kind of diversify it enough, I guess, to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
To where you're eliminating some of the risk, right? Because you're just I'm trading 20, 30, 40 times a day. And I'm taking small little directional trades, and eventually, when with momentum, you can find favorable setups, and if you can predict the next 5 or 10 cents of direction, as long as you don't get greedy. My biggest mistake is if I have a rough day, which are losing days are inevitable. If I have a losing day, or a tough losing day at that, you try to win back your losses, and so.
Yes.
And it happens to everybody. It's inevitable. It probably happens to Warren Buffett. But the best thing that you can do as a trader is condition yourself not to do it. Not to revenge trade, not to force trades.
Revenge.
You gotta do it. Yeah. That's what it is. It's revenge trading, bro. You lose $100, and then you're like, damn, man, I gotta, now I gotta take twice the sizing to try to win that back.
Exactly.
Right. And then you take 400, and then you lose $400, and you're like, well, my account's almost, this is hurting my account. Let me just swing even harder.
Right.
Some days, no matter how hard you swing, it's just not going to be a favorable day. Like if you look at the SPY, I think it was yesterday or the day before, man, that thing was just sideways. And so if I'm attacking the wrong stocks on that day, it's never going to work. It's just going to fake me out over and over again. So part of my consistent trading, like I've been consistent for a little while, I've been building different systems and going back and forth, but one of the reasons it's consistent is because I've kind of gotten good at walking away and just kind of shutting down the computer. If I sit there and I stare at charts, I'm going to keep trading, and so I just got to turn the computer off, walk away, go walk my dog, play Xbox, something.
I feel you. We preach that all the time. Sometimes, even if you're taking too many losses, sometimes you just got to walk away, focus your energy somewhere else. But the same thing if you're taking too many wins. Sometimes you got to walk away because you get so used to, all I do is win.
Right.
And then, so yeah, that's no one to hold them.
Right,
So
exactly.
how long have you been trading stocks, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, no, you're good. So I've been trading for about 4 years, 4.5 years, maybe. So, we've been trading back when the cannabis stocks started to boom. I remember Mara when Mara was like $1. I remember NIO when NIO was like $1. I remember a bunch of these stocks, and I saw them grow as, they were little. Mara, I believe, was a SPAC, but I might be wrong there. But yeah, I remember, and I mean, looking at it, Mara was 35 cents back in March last year after COVID. But yeah, I've been trading for a while, and you get started, and it takes years to be successful for most people. It's not something that most people just pick up and get right. And again, it kind of goes back to that conditioning aspect. Like, you got to condition yourself to do the right things in trading, and that takes time. That takes screen time and kind of getting your reps in. It's one of the reasons so many new traders lose, is because they just haven't conditioned themselves to be emotionally strong enough to not do certain mistakes. And so it just takes a lot of time.
The psychological part for me was the hardest part, and I'm still learning how to control my emotions. But for me, the numbers and everything else, it came a lot easier. But the conditioning that's the part that I'm still trying to learn. Self-control. Yeah. Do you remember your first investment ever?
So my first investment, no, not really. I think it was probably on Robinhood when it first came out a long time ago. Most likely they gave me a free stock. Okay. I remember my first few weeks of trading, because like really what happened was I watched the movie. Somebody's asking me for a back testing video. They asked if I ever done a back testing video. So is it cool if I link one of mine? I do have some back testing videos.
Hey, go for it.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so okay, basically I watched the movie The Big Short back about 2013, I guess, when it first came out. Mm-hmm. And it inspired me, to see people. I'm a huge video game player. I love video games. I've been a huge nerd all my life, building websites and just doing stuff like that. And so the thought that I can make money from my computer analyzing things was really tempting, and it sounded great, So I watched that movie. I came home. I researched, day trading or whatever it is, and of course Tim Sykes pops up with his Lambos, and Warrior Trading shows up, and so I start watching them, and they've got some good free content. I'm not hating on them or anything like that, but I think within a few weeks, I thought I was about to just get rich day trading, within a few weeks, right? And so I'm trading thousands of dollars, and I just remember losing thousands of dollars in my first few weeks, and then just saying, screw this, I'm done. And I literally day traded I traded stocks for like 3 weeks, and then I lost thousands of dollars, and then I just closed it down. I even created my YouTube channel at that time. And if you watch the really early videos in my YouTube channel, they were from where I was kind of trading those losses, and I would win and lose, and then I just stopped uploading for like a year straight because I just quit. I lost a bunch of money and I quit. I walked away. And then during that time, I'd kind of glance back at the channel, and I was growing. I was getting subscribers even though I wasn't uploading. So I think I had like 400 subscribers a year later. And I was like, well, I've got all these subscribers. I might as well try my hand at trading again. And that kind of brought me back. And eventually, you develop systems and you develop risk management. And, you figure out what kind of strategies, what kind of niche you want to trade in. And you build different systems. And that's kind of what it's about eventually,
That's cool, man. That's actually, yeah, that's a good story, because I know everyone here has had that feeling where it's just like, okay, I guess my career as a trader is done. Right. Same with me. The first couple weeks, I got burned by. I'm pretty new, and so I got burned by the Wall Street bets guys. Great information, whatever they're giving out. I just didn't know how to evaluate the information. They were like, hey, buy these weed stocks. They're on fire right now. And I was like, hey, I like weed. Okay, yeah. So let's do this. I bought everything out there at the very tip top. Within 48 hours, my investments were halved. And I was just like, okay, well, this was cool. This was a cool learning experience. Now I know this isn't for me. But it was just that, man, there was something about it I couldn't walk away from. I just wanted to. I'm one of those people who I want to learn. Even if I just learn it and walk away, I just want to at least know how it works, and then I could call it quits. So I didn't give up on the channel and found Bulldog, and the rest is history. So you are an actual day trader. You have a day trading account. Do you have any advice for those of us, which like all of us who are not? How do you get around? What advice? I know it's impossible, but do you have any advice for the non-day traders? How do we get around that PDT?
Okay, so the PDT rule only really applies to a cash account, or to a margin account. I'm sorry. So a PDT rule is only for margin accounts. If you look up the PDT rule, it will say you're limited to 3 day trades per every rolling 5-day period on a margin account, right? So if you have a cash account, there is no PDT rule for you. And so if you have less than 25K, you're not going to be able to short things. You're not going to be able to short stocks. And you're going to have to wait a few days for your funds to settle after each trade. But if you've got 5K and you're trading penny stocks, that's plenty of money. You can use $2,500 a day, and have plenty of money and just day trade as much as you want. Get into 50, 60 day trades a week. And that's really what I did before I, made my account big enough to actively day trade like I really want to. But that's the way the day trade. A lot of people don't understand the PDT rule, and it really only applies to margin accounts. And so if you have a cash account, there's no PDT rule at all. You can day trade as much as you want. And I did it on TD Ameritrade. If you do it on TD Ameritrade or TOS, they're going to have the little day trading countdown. That doesn't matter. Like that's just programmed in there. So even if you have a cash account, there is no PDT rule, and you can day trade as much as you want.
Okay, until your cash runs out, and then you have to wait for it to clear.
Correct. Right. But
Interesting.
But the way you go about that is you just use half of your equity a day, right? So if you have 5K, you use 2,500 one day, and then 2,500 the next, and then by the time the next day happens, the funds from the first day are settled. And so if you want to know how much you need to day trade with a cash account under 25K, you just take however much you need per day and you multiply it times 2. Or if you take however much money you have and you divide it by 2, and that's how much per day you get to trade with.
Very interesting. Yeah, because I heard you guys talking about that, and I heard a lot of people on your channel talking about, their cash accounts versus the margin accounts, where I think, for us, a lot of us have the margin accounts. I didn't even know, when I first signed up for my account, what the difference was. And even upon Googling it, I was like, I don't know. I guess margin account's the one because everybody else does that. I kind of wish I would have done things differently. And I think going forward, I'm going to open up a cash account on another app and try my hand at some of these day trading tactics.
Right. So day trading super tough. It's what I always tell everybody. Like, day trading is incredibly difficult, and I think if I could start over, I don't know if I would day trade. You know, and it might be counterproductive for my channel in general, but honestly, if I could start over, I don't know if I would day trade, because it's just such a difficult thing to do, and it takes a long time. Like, I think if you're new to trading, I think a much better option for everybody out there is swing trade. I think when you're swing trading, you can swing trade stories in the market, relying less on technicals, which is really what takes you a long time to learn, is technicals. And you can swing trade different correlating stories. Like my friend Mitch waited for the E3 gaming conference and bought gaming stocks before it, held over the weekend. They all shot up Monday, and he made a bunch of money before the open even started from just kind of correlating that story together. Like, the E3 gaming conference is this weekend, I'm going to buy some video game stocks prior to that and ride that momentum up and then sell. I think new traders are going to be a lot better suited to do stuff like that. And then once they grow some capital, get a little bit more screen time, and kind of establish risk management, kind of systems on their own through swing trading, then they can maybe dabble at day trading. I think if I could start over, that's what I would do. Okay.
I mean, I love the swing. You know, I absolutely love the swing trading. Once I kind of figured out that being an option, I found that works for me, especially being a beginner. But you know, I think a lot of us have that kind of this romantic idea of the day trader,
yeah, for sure.
You know, just watching the bars and doing the 3-bar play, and it just looks cool. It sounds cool.
The opening bell is really romanticized. Everybody waits for the open, and I even get stuck trading the open, because the open is not the time you want to trade. It's not the time you want to day trade, especially. It's super random and spontaneous, but it's so romanticized in trading that everybody trades it anyway, and it's just super risky. It's
right.
Coin flipping,
Definitely. Before you go, I want to keep you too long. What do you do exactly in terms of research? How do you go about your research for day trades and swing trades? What are your kind of tools that you use?
So I use scanners, of course, when I'm day trading. I use Benzinga. I work a lot with Benzinga over there. We also I'm mostly, so for me, if I'm trading a penny stock, I don't really care how strong the company is. A lot of penny stocks are just terrible companies. Not all of them, of course. There's some great ones, but a lot of them, are just terrible companies. And so I just try not to hold them too long, especially for me. Like, my kryptonite is swing trading penny stocks. Like, I can't swing trade penny stocks. A lot of them are going to fail. And so it's kind of a bad bet sometimes to swing trade penny stocks, for me at least, because I suck at it, to be honest. But I'm just using indicators, short-term price action, and short-term scalping. I also scalp futures, and so we do some futures content as well. In futures, I trade like the E-mini or the micro E-mini, which you can essentially, sorry to go back to your previous question about the PDT rule. One of the ways to get around the PDT rule is just to trade futures. The E-mini or the micro E-mini follows the SPY. It follows the S&P 500, and that certainly has enough momentum to scalp and day trade with. And there's no PDT rule in futures. There's instant settlement, and so there's those type of advantages as well. But I'm a purist. I'm mostly just using a simple chart, some scanners, and one indicator, which is the VWAP, to try to predict movement, I guess.
Right on. I like it.
So I see a question. How does one find out if they are a cash account or margin account? Go into your account settings, whichever platform. Usually it's universally true. You just go to your account settings, and it should tell you whether, margin or cash. I think most platforms will automatically give you a cash account, except for, I think Webull. I think Webull and maybe Robinhood will automatically give you a margin account.
Right.
So I think for those two, you have to specifically go out and ask. If you want a cash account, you have to say, hey, let me switch to a cash account, and they'll switch it for you. But I think those two automatically give you margin. I think. Not 100% sure. Don't sue me, Day trading takes guts. My son did the GameStop buy. Yeah, I can make fun of myself a little bit. I was calling GameStop short at $4 a share about a year and a half ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, yeah. So, and to be fair, rightfully so, a year and a half ago, GameStop was a terrible, failing company.
Yes.
And I'm rooting for them now. I really am, because if I have to pick a side, big banks, retail traders, I'm picking the retail traders every time.
Right.
So I'm rooting for them. But yeah, I called GameStop short at $4 and was certainly wrong. But I ended up profiting from it after that, and I'm holding AMC a little bit still, and I made some. AMC was one of the biggest trades I've gotten into this year, so we were able to make some money in the movement. But yeah.
What are your do you have any long holds?
Yeah, so right now I'm holding DraftKings. Alibaba, I'm swing trading. I wouldn't really call this a long hold because I don't necessarily like it long term, but I think it's down enough. It's been hit enough at this point in time for me to try to bottom feed it a little bit, buy it, and ride the dip up. Can't say, 100%, please don't copy me. I don't know if this is going to work. Of course, it could just crash down more, but I'm holding DraftKings as well. I'm really bullish on like that gambling sector, DraftKings, eBet,
Definitely.
Pin Gaming. GNUS, I think the gaming sector. I think hopefully in the next few years we'll get it legalized and started away. Long term, Disney, Apple.
Yes.
Those are if I'm holding a stock for the next 10, 20 years, it's going to be Disney. Disney's taking over freaking everything. So
for real,
that's one of the safest bets you can make, to be honest. But
for them to do what they did during the pandemic, and that stock still do what it did, like I was just like, okay, I'm all in. All in. That's the number one stock that I tell. Yeah, they own everything, and their streaming service is just nailing it. That's the one stock that I will, across the board, when people ask me, like family members and friends, I know that's the one that I can't go wrong with. That everybody's done their research on that company, so they already, go invest in Disney, invest in Apple, and they're like, oh, wow, thank you.
Right. Disney owns everything. They own Star Wars, Marvel,
I know
everything,
and those aren't going away. What are your favorite day trades or scalps like right now or like this week, say?
Yeah, so so if you look at, let me find it. My favorite day trade in the world, like the most consistent one, the one that works almost every single time. And again, I can't guarantee it will for you because everyone has a little bit different of a personality. And so people trade differently because their personalities are different. Some are more patient, some are less patient. But my favorite strategy is when a stock opens up strong. And so it opens up in that first 5 minutes and it holds over the VWAP level and it looks really strong and it has good volume. And then in one or two candles, it completely reverses, breaks underneath the VWAP, tests the low of the day. And then it'll usually give you like a small quick bounce that I can short into because that's just a big sentiment change. When that happens, long traders lose confidence, they sell, which kind of causes this domino-like momentum breaking down. Short traders jump in that as well. If you look at AMD, for instance, not today, but yesterday, the day before yesterday is probably the best. So if you look at AMD on the 18th, and you look at it move up in that first 3 minutes and then just immediately reverse, I'm shorting basically into the little bounces after that, the little 2-minute bounces after that, and just kind of riding it down, taking profit, shorting into the bounces again. Eventually it won't work, but it works so much, 5 out of 6 of those short bounces work to short into, and so, pretty high accuracy doing so.
Bulldog asks, what if there's no shares available to short? Do you buy puts?
I can. I'm less experienced in options, so I know I scalp I'll buy a weekly option and sell it in like an hour, but most of the time, if it's HTB or there's none to borrow, if there's no shares to borrow, I just won't trade it. So a lot of the time for these, I'm focusing on like big name companies, like ironically enough, Disney, AMD, MU. Apple, I'll short Apple like crazy if it sets up too. And again, ironically, I'm holding a lot of these companies long term.
Right.
But the momentum is so clear there when it reverses like that it's just an easy bet. It's a safe bet.
Exactly.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on EV charging platforms? I think EV is the future. I think if you look at the Tesla Plaid, that thing does 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. It runs a quarter-mile stock, 9 seconds flat, ridiculously fast. And so I think electric vehicles are obviously the future, and with that, we're going to need charging stations and platforms. And so I think that is a sector that'll grow. It's hard to predict exactly when, but I think it's going to grow long term. I just don't know when.
I actually have a question. how do you use like volatility, like halts? Do you trade around any halts, stops and starts, anything
No.
like that? No.
No, not at all. So halts are way too risky
Yeah.
because you don't ever know what's going to happen. It might resume and then just go crazy high, or it might resume, break lows, and then get halted again and resume
Right.
$5 lower. And so because of that, if a stock gets halted, I'm usually kind of putting my hands up and I'm saying, okay, I can't trade this.
Right.
It's too risky. There's too much volatility. It's not safe enough to bet and try to predict that their direction.
Right.
So it's just not safe enough. It's just too risky.
Right. Yeah, I do it all the time. It's super risky.
Yeah, and I like day trading penny stocks too, but like it's penny stocks I'm holding the least amount of time over anything. So
Yeah.
I'm usually I'm a pullback buyer. So if I'm trading long on penny stocks, I buy little pullbacks to confirm support levels, and then I scalp the bounce. If it bounces 5-6 cents, I scalp that bounce, and then I just do it again on the next one.
Right.
Penny stocks. There's too much craziness. Like a lot of the time, the other day, PCMB, I believe it was, or
Right.
PMCB. The price of the stock got pumped up super high, and then they did what a lot of penny stock companies do, which they pump the price of their stock up, and then they slam you with an offering to
Right.
just sell more shares. And so what happens is like these companies will push the price of their stock higher and higher. They'll put out some really sensationalist news releases, and then when the price of their stock is higher, they'll do an at-the-market offering, which means they'll sell more shares and dilute the company a little bit more, and that'll just crash the stock and leave everybody that bought it up on those big bullish news releases bag holding it. Like you could see PMCB ripped up to 12, and then within like 5 minutes, within like 30 minutes, it dropped down to 4.
Right.
And
Now
that's
it's
the
now
risk.
65% losses, and it's just like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I
Right.
made my money on
Exactly.
the way up on PMCB.
Nice.
But yeah, when I woke up the next day, I knew it wasn't going to be pretty, and sure enough,
Yeah, for sure. And that's why it's like one of my rules is I just don't swing trade penny stocks. So if I
Right.
swing trade anything, it's usually big blue chip companies that I'm just kind of correlating a story. So a lot of the time, if I think a stock is really beaten down, but it's a sure thing long term, I'll just dollar cost average in and hold it long term and just kind of, I'm doing that right now with Robinhood, and DraftKings, which, are speculative, of course. They could succeed or fail, but I think it's much more likely that they succeed. And so I'm just
Right.
kind of adding on the pullbacks longer term. In day trading, you certainly shouldn't average down like that because especially some of these penny stocks, they're never going to come back.
Right.
Some of them won't, at least. But yeah, for more blue chip companies that I think are almost a sure thing, I'll just average in and hold long term.
Definitely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with holding a
Right.
great company. It's going to be coming back around sooner or later. Like I bought into Lucid, and I think I'm down a couple dollars. It just hasn't done anything since they did the ticker symbol change, and it's just like I already know that. I know it's coming back. I'll just leave that alone and just forget about it.
The daily chart's not even bad on I always remember it as CCIV, but Lucid sideways. I mean, the biggest sign of strength is you're just looking for them to hold their gains or some of their gains. And
Right.
Lucid held most of its gains. I mean, it ripped up from $10 to 22, 23s, and it's been holding steady at 20, 15, 20 for a while now. So that consolidation's usually healthy. How much time do you have from news breaking to acting on it in general? Is hours later too late? So to be honest, in penny stocks and with larger caps, I don't really worry too much about the news. Like some of the news is good, some of the news is bad, but betting on news is not going to be a super profitable thing for a lot of people. And the main reason why is because sometimes a stock will have good news, great results, and it'll just tank. And sometimes a stock will have terrible results and it'll rip up. And so sometimes the news releases don't make sense. And so
Right. We say that all the time here, like bankruptcy. If they file for bankruptcy, the stock is up 25%.
Right,
If they have the greatest news of all time, it is going to hit an all-time low. It is guaranteed. Crazy.
Exactly. It's just, and that's why a lot of new traders come in and they think it's as easy as, oh, we'll just wait for the news to come out, buy it, and profit. problem is some of the news is going to tank the stock, and you don't know which one it is. And so the traders are so thorough with those releases. They drop a form or a release, and they're looking into everything that form or release says, every SEC document, and they're taking everything and just trying to judge these little bitty things to influence sentiment. And so you never know how traders or mass psychology is going to react to a certain release, and it's just not safe for me to. It's not safe enough for me to bet on. I'm more so like just playing, like correlating stories. Like, okay, well, E3 gaming conferences this weekend, I'm gonna buy some gaming stocks. Or, what a lot of people made money on in the last year. When COVID tanked everything, I bought up everything. I bought up MGM. When COVID dropped United Airlines, MGM, all these different really healthy long-term companies, 75%, huge discounts. And so I bought up call options on MGM and United Airlines. I bought it at like $20 or whatever it was and made like 100%. And so those you're going to get a handful of really obvious trade ideas every year. The hardest part is sitting on your hands waiting for them, because there's going to be some really obvious correlations that are just obvious plays in the market. Like the United Airlines is not going to fail. It's the MGM is not going to fail. So if it's at $15, that's a pretty cheap buy for MGM. I could load up and make 200-300% holding it for a few months. And that happens a lot, especially after big things and big crashes. And so after big crashes, I buy up stuff. Warren Buffett said it's better to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And so I just wait for big crashes and buy the dip, buy the huge dip, if you will,
Yeah. Bulldog's wondering, now that we are near all-time highs, do you think we continue bullish, or do we have a correction in the overall market?
Oh, it's tough to tell. So I don't mind. I think the SPY has been in one of the most obvious trends for the last year or so, a little bit less than a year. Since March, the SPY has formed a perfect channel. Absolutely perfect. If you draw a line to it, the problem with it is that they're getting squeezed closer together. And so eventually on the SPY, just on a technical basis, it looks like a big giant triangle. And with triangles, whenever you get support and resistance squeezed together, you never know what's going to happen. You never know which side is going to break on. It could break on the upside or the downside. But the SPY is harder to predict. The S&P 500, is harder to predict. And so I have no idea what the market's going to do. And that's why I day trade. I always say I try not to predict what's going to happen, because I really have no idea. I just react to what does happen, and I try to capitalize on the obvious emotional, moves that happen. Like if a stock just breaks and looks weak, and that weakness is really self-evident and obvious, then I short it. If a stock is really strong and that strength is really obvious and self-evident, then I go long in it, and I just try to ride it like that instead of. I'm terrible at predicting things long term. Like I said, GameStop $4 short.
I like that. That's good advice. Don't predict, react.
Right, and that's the safer bet.
Smart. Very smart. I don't know if there's anything else we need to cover. We covered a lot of stuff, and obviously we could do this over and over, there's a lot of knowledge out there. I appreciate you coming by. Like I said, I don't want to keep you all day. Is there anything else you want to talk about or cover, or anything you want to say?
No, not really, man. I appreciate you guys having me on the show. If y'all ever want to join my show as well, y'all always can. I'm sure I'll probably have y'all on my stream.
Hell yeah.
My channel does not run all day. We usually finish trading by 10, 30, 11 market time, and we rarely do crypto trades or anything like that. And so I'm sure I'll be back on here. I had a lot of fun. I think great channel. I think the idea is great. I don't know if I have the energy for it, and like I run my channel all by myself, so I don't even know if that would be feasible for me. But I still think it's a great idea, and I think the channel's going to grow big.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, of course, man. And nice meeting everyone in the chat. Again, you can check me out at youtube.com/beginnertrading. And thanks for having me on.
Man, we appreciate you so much, John. Thank you for coming in. You guys don't forget to subscribe, like and subscribe his videos. That's Beginner Trading. This is John. He's given us a ton of nice advice here. Not financial advice, but just advice.
Yeah, right. Don't sue me. Don't sue me.
I think you're a super smart guy. Like I'm guessing you probably have a pretty high IQ, because this is all really, really, really good information right here that we could all. even someone like me who's a new trader can really digest it. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Hey, of course, man. Thank you so much, bro. Y'all have a good day. Good luck, guys. Have a fun weekend, and I'll see you guys next time.
You too, sir. Thank you so much.
No problem. Later, guys.
All right, show some love in the chat. That's my man John from Beginner Trades, and don't forget to go over to his channel, check it out, like and subscribe. I've been watching that channel for the past couple days, and I gotta say, it works